Heart first leadership isn't what you say, it's how you show up, how you regulate, how you communicate, and how you execute when it matters most. We are Heidi and Ryan Sawyer, and you are listening to the Heart First Leadership Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrated Mindset Podcast. I am Ryan Sawyer, alongside with my wife,
Heidi Sawyer.
There she is, the one and the only. We are on I keep saying that. We're on commitment number 12. It's not a week necessarily. Commitment number 12 of the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. So we only have about a month left of going through these different commitments of understanding how to live above the line. And this one, I have been living beneath the line from time to time. This is something I want, before we go into it, I went back and listened to the podcast that we did with Mark Divine. I felt like it was just something that was going to help me kind of to move past a little bit of resistance I was currently experiencing in this exact conversation. I was just in one of my patterns I get into about once every 3 months. Wouldn't you say? Maybe a little less.
Once a quarter. Yeah.
Once a quarter or so, where I'm like, oh my, are we doing enough? Am I doing enough? Is there enough? Right?
Is there going to be enough?
Is there going to be enough? How are we going to make sure there's more later? Mm-hmm. And so I went back and listened to the podcast. And one of the things that we talked about, Mark and I talked about, was this idea of being a practitioner. And when you are someone who is a lifelong practitioner, when I talk about practicing, I'm talking about more of this inner approach to life, this inside out approach to life, this upside down approach to life, meaning where you always see the end before you begin, you visualize, you breathe, you regulate, you find your center, and you're just constantly navigating to operate with the world from the inside out, right? That's this idea of being a practitioner. Usually a practitioner is one that sits down and finds stillness and practices the breath and meditation or something along the sorts. And one of the things we talked about is this, basically the different states of consciousness. And there's multiple states that we could explore and describe, but they are experiences. They're actually states. So I can try to describe them on one, the different states of consciousness to somebody, but maybe they wouldn't even have a reference point if they haven't understood it. But something that happens is we kind of snap out into a state, what we consider to be the fourth state of consciousness. And we're able to operate where we're increasing the quality of our dreaming, of our waking state, of our sleeping state. Life in general has a more pure and holistic approach to it. We naturally live above the line. We naturally don't get caught in these patterns of scarcity, of not enough, of fear, of lack, right? And if we don't continue to practice or we don't stay awake, what we do is we suck unconsciously. We're back out of that state into the normal experience, which is one where we have been programmed, we have been conditioned into believing that there's not enough, into this narrative or scarcity mindset. Yeah. And so then we naturally live beneath the line where we feel like we have to overcome something. We have to feel like we have to, get ours, right? And we have to beat somebody else. And we naturally find ourselves resting in this experience of competition, which is what we're going to talk about here. So all I'm saying is I was for about, a little bit longer than normal, a couple of days worth of kind of being like, oh, am I doing enough? I just kind of feel like I'm treading water. I kind of feel like I'm dog paddling a little bit in life. Like, are we actually getting anywhere? I don't know. We're doing all this stuff. Are we actually getting anywhere? I'm like, well, where are you going? First of all, and there is no there, right?
Yeah. I think that's okay. So I think that's common for being in, I would say every quarter. You're saying that's kind of when that's happening, every quarter, pretty much.
Something like that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't mark it on the calendar. Maybe I should. I don't know.
Maybe you should. When you get into the unknown, when you get into new territory, when you're, like right now in one of our businesses, we're really pushing towards growth. We've been reinvested a lot into the company, and we're making some hires and just making some moves. Right. So I think that those feelings or that uncertainty is going to kind of trigger some of that scarcity thinking, or, old patterns of feeling like things aren't sufficient or there's not enough. So I'm going to read the commitment here, which is, the title of the commitment is Having Enough of Everything. I wanted to title this Scarcity versus Sufficiency, because I think sufficiency is, we can get ourselves to sufficiency. That is the gateway to being able to feel abundant versus scarce. So the commitment is, I commit to experiencing that I have enough of everything, including time, money, love, energy, space, and resources. I don't know about you, but for me, the time one is, the time and energy seems to be a big factor for me, where I notice that I get into scarcity around time and energy.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
Yeah,
more so than money, really.
Yeah, I'm money.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a male thing, but I definitely get in the scarcity mindset. Not that there isn't enough, but I want more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right. And this, I think it's important to understand with all of these conscious commitments that you have to basically understand the human experience enough to be able to recognize that you legitimately have to overcome aspects of being human to be above the line. You have to practice and condition and rehearse yourself into a state and into a mindset that allows for you not to live in common patterns of being human, right? And I'll explain. What I mean by that is that we as humans have, and even in neuroscience would call it wanting and seeking circuitry, right? And this wanting and seeking circuitry creates desire for something to be different. Well, this is not a bad thing. This is an evolutionary thing, right? We call it the evolutionary pulse, right? If it weren't for desire to want something to be better or different or have more or do more or be more, we wouldn't progress as a race. We wouldn't have got out of the caves. We would still be living a very, very simple life. And so to understand and to accept, and some of this coming from a place wanting more is human, but it's where you're coming from. Like I think you used to say, what's your come from? I don't know where you got that from, but the term I like to use is, what is your operating origin? Are you coming from a place of wanting more because you feel like there's not enough? Or are you coming from a place of you wanting to be more because you feel a sense of sufficiency is the word that you used, right? Yeah. And that's something you have to sit back and ponder for a moment for your own life, is to figure out, where am I coming from? And to go real deep for just a moment, my path of healing and awareness and growth as a human has led me to realize that there is a lot of underlining, and they're very deep, very underlying layers. And there's different layers of not enoughness, of fear, of anger, right? And I believe this last round of where I was living beneath the line, it was just another layer that was being exposed and was coming up because of what you said, because we were venturing further and further into the unknown, further and further into an unfamiliar path. And it was more and more uncomfortable, which caused more stuff to come up, right? And it snapped me down into a beneath the line mentality.
You know, that made me think of as kind of that visual of like when we stretch that rubber band.
Too hard, yeah.
And we're stretching and we're pulling and we're growing in our capacity, but we're also getting uncomfortable and venturing into the unknown. And sometimes we get that snapback.
Yep.
And
whiplash.
It's this like unconscious desire to be in scarcity because it's familiar.
Yeah, well, I'm going to underline the word unconscious, because you hear that and you think, well, I don't want to be in scarcity. I don't have a victim mindset. I don't live from lack. I'm just saying, like, unless you really have done a lot of deep work, you don't even know that that's where you're operating.
Yeah. We don't know what we don't know. Yeah. Think about people who win the lottery, right? They say the people who win the lottery, they just blow all the money right away because they're going back into the paradigm that they're familiar with.
Yeah.
So it's super interesting.
There's a part of the book here, a quote that I don't have enough energy to give everyone who wants attention from me. I highlighted that because legitimately, I think it was, what day was it? What is today? Wednesday? It was maybe Monday. I don't know what day it was, but where I legitimately said to you, I'm just trying to figure out how to be who everybody needs me to be.
Yes, I do remember you said that.
The business, this business, you, the kids.
That's why I was laughing when you're like, what's the chapter this week? Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah.
Of course it is. Of course it is. It's what I needed. It was for me, right? And it's, there's no judgment. You snap beneath the line.
Right.
Well, good.
That's right. You're human.
And here's what I would say. And this is the freedom model that we've created when it comes to like learning how to let go. When you notice yourself beneath the line, like I did, is like, that's when the work begins. That's when there's an incredible opportunity to actually heal, to evolve, to transcend, to become a new version of you. Because in that scarcity mindset, in that lack or not enoughness, is when you're able to actually begin to observe that pattern or program in such a way where you no longer are the pattern of the program. And that space that you can create between the thoughts you're having, the sensations in your body, the constriction, the not enoughness, whatever, you can be, if you can observe it and you can witness it, that's what's going to be able to allow for that circuitry, that old pattern or program that's legitimately in your nervous system, for that to begin to soften and dissolve in a way where you're now naturally back above. You snap back out into that higher state of consciousness. You're back above the line. And now you're able to be like, oh, that was just a pattern. That was just a program. It has nothing to actually do with the present moment. Something that we were taking on hit that and they got activated. Good.
Yeah.
Good, because now it had an opportunity to come up and to move through me.
Right.
Right. And so to do that work, to do it with a complete no judgment. And this last time was it took a little bit more out of me. Oh, not out of me. That's not the right word. It took more conscious awareness and consistency of like sitting in the muck for it to pass through me more than normal. Usually I can get things to pass through me rather quickly. And this one was kind of like,
dark. Yeah. It's interesting when we're in that place. It's like we want to look externally for all the ways that the world is demanding too much of our energy or too much of our time. And when we think about time and time scarcity, it's interesting to me because, have you ever been doing a workout and you're like, it seems like time is going by so slow.
For sure.
Am I ever going to be done with this?
Tomorrow, we're going to do one like that. I don't know if
I didn't know that. What are we doing?
We have a momentum course that we run. It's a bunch of clients who've worked through different courses with us. And then once they have worked through a handful of courses with us, they have the opportunity to be in this mastermind of sorts group that we call a momentum group.
We're meeting in person.
We're meeting in person. We meet in person once a month. And this month we're going to do something hard. And so, 20, 30, 40 minutes, I don't know, will seem like a very long time. That's the only hint I'm going to give you.
Okay.
You probably know what I'm talking about, what we're going to do.
I don't know, but let's not give it away because then nobody will show up tomorrow. Yeah. So
I'll be in there by myself doing
something
hard.
Ryan's got plans. He's going to do something.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, but when you're doing a workout, at times it's like crawling by, or you're waiting for something that you're really excited about to happen. Like our daughter just had her birthday party, and oh my gosh, this past weekend, waiting for the time for the birthday party to start.
Countdown.
To her, I'm sure to me, it didn't seem like very much time at all because I had a lot of stuff going on and getting things ready beforehand. But I'm sure to her, being in the waiting, that time felt like really expansive.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how we can get into that narrative about scarcity of time or energy when it's really just a perception of what it looks like.
It changes based upon whether you want to experience it or don't want to experience it, right?
Right.
Which you're attracted to that experience, or you're, is it something you want to avoid?
Like you go get a massage and it seems
It goes
like it goes
by
by really fast. You want it to keep going on longer. Yeah.
I just think it's important for us all to really, really pause and to question. Like, this is where the curiosity thing comes into play. Like, I wonder how I am operating from scarcity. I wonder what is my operating origin? Am I coming from lack, trying to overcome either I'm not good enough or there's not enough?
Yeah.
Right. And if so, like, just recognize that, this is how the majority of the world has been programmed or patterned to be able to create the results they think they want, because, it's part of being human, but also it's fortified in competition.
It's fortified in that. And then also
even in sports, right?
Like,
it has to be a winner and a loser. Yeah.
Our consumerist culture. I mentioned this in the last episode as well, but like, just take a look online. Look at the ads that are popping up. It's all about scarcity. You need this thing. You don't have enough. That's how we're sold to. So it's programmed into us quite a bit. There's not a whole lot of people saying, you know what, you don't really need anything but to find your center and live from that place.
Yeah.
That wouldn't sell very much, would it?
No. Well, that's how we have.
But I wanted to read the below the line commitment because I wanted
we didn't read it.
Illustrate a little bit of like what it looks like to be below the line in this. So I commit to a scarcity mentality, choosing to see that there's not enough for me and others in the world. And therefore I have to be conscious of making sure that I preserve what is quote unquote mine. We are all leaders. If you're ready to stop waiting and start impacting your environment in a powerful way, we want to connect with you. Click the Book Now link in the show notes to book a call with a Heart First coach and discover what Heart First leadership can look like in your life and in your environment. Now back to the show.
That's below the line, right? Is trying to get yours, to not get the short end of the stick, that you're in competition with people in your same field of influence, whatever it may be, right? Here's another way of potentially like identifying if you're beneath the line in the scarcity mindset, is that other people are draining your time or your energy, right? And this is some sort of a resource that they took from you, right? That was such a waste of my time. That person wasted my time and energy. I can't believe they wasted it, right? Yeah. So that is this idea that there is a scarcity mindset, and we've all been there. We've all done that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to hear from those listening online, or if you're listening to the podcast recording later on, which of those areas do you feel like you get into that scarcity mindset? Is it time? Is it money? Is it love, energy, space, or other resources? I think we kind of identified for ourselves what those are, but that's a point of inspection. That's something to think about for yourself. Where am I finding myself saying that there's not enough? And then how can I move to a place of sufficiency within that area? How can I look at time and thinking there's not enough time and move to a place of what do I need to think and believe about time to create a feeling of sufficiency?
And I'll probably get better. Naturally, I'll probably get better at conserving more energy and being better at managing my time. Therefore, I'll be able to free up space and time and energy and money to be able to create the experience I do want to have. Like, legitimately, I know you hear this all the time. It's about growth mindset versus fixed mindset, but legitimately where you place your attention, is where you place your focus. And that's where you then create your life, right? So if you focus on how there's not enough time, you're going to continue to tell the narrative, and you're going to continue to struggle with the management of your time, and it's going to continue to create those same experiences, right? And we talked about a little bit about the scarcity mindset that is fortified in our society, our consciousness, because we're brought up in a world where we are on these different teams, and you won and you lost, and you're hey, congratulations, you won, rather than looking at it in terms of a cooperative experience where, I believe, like, for something like I always bring this up because it's very relatable to me, is our residential painting company. I believe there's enough work for everybody. We all do different types of work. We do very specific residential repaint work. And so, like, a lot of companies, we can raise all ships and everybody can do well if everybody can learn to be in their specific role, in their specific function. This is part of a concept of, for you to explore what your own purpose is in life, rather than comparing yourself to others, because the trap that we get into when it comes to scarcity or beneath the line is when we've been conditioned and programmed to be of this idea that we have to get ours, we have to maintain ours. Once we get ours, we've got to keep ours, right? We have to win to be winners. And now we have this very competitive, I'm competitive, and I'm going to overcome because I'm not enough. That's where it comes from. Like, competition comes from you believing you're not enough.
Yeah.
Like, there's no other place it comes from. It comes from not enough. You think about it from a primal perspective. We went out and competed for land, for resources, because we were afraid there wasn't enough out there. So we then had to try to protect those things. And that's where competition is a very primal aspect. And primal aspects of competition turn into later in life when there is enough, when your human needs are met, when there is food, water, shelter, warmth, touch, all the things happening out there that we actually need, but you're operating still from scarcity. What it turns into is comparison. Competition turns into comparison. And so my question would be, maybe another way for you to be able to become aware is, like, who are you comparing yourself to? Is it your neighbor who makes more money, or is it this person who has a different role or identity that you potentially think is of higher specialty status or whatever?
Right.
Is it somebody on TV? Is it social media? Our minds project and we can become very outwardly focused in this way where then now we are beating ourselves down because we're comparing our lives to others. Comparison can be used in a positive way, right? If we focus on what we can learn from others of what's working, what's not working, and what's possible, right? Oh, I like that. I want more of that. I want to have that experience. Great. But we can become very judgmental of our experience, which then causes us to just naturally drift beneath the line. When we're in conversation with a friend, they tell us about, they've had this much financial success. You're like, oh man, it'd be nice for me to make $250,000, right? Whatever the story is, it comes into where we then are in this very comparison. There's not enough resources. I'm not enough. I have to overcome that. I judge my experience. I judge who I am. I judge my role. So to recognize that for us to live above the line, a part of that is for you to identify based upon your past conditioning, which means your experiences in life, your upbringing, your societal beliefs, whatever it is, wherever you are in life, figure out what is your specialty role or function. Some people would call this purpose. I don't like the word purpose as much as your specialty role, because it could be something that seems so simple. You'd be hard to be able to like plug that into a purpose. And all reality is, what is the whole in the universe, in the world that you see? How can you contribute? What problem can you solve? Because there's something in the world that you can see and only you can see based upon your perception, because your perception is based upon your past conditioning and experiences. So there's something in the world that I can see in you that nobody else can see. And then therefore I can bring something out in you that only I can bring out. And when you begin to become aware of what your specialty role or function is, and you're able to really step into that, you're going to go from a mindset of there's not enough and I'm not enough to seeing how the world is your absolute playground to be able to create the experiences you do want to have within that specialty role, in that specialty function. Right. And so it's, if you're, doing something like, let's say, again, I use the same example over and over, but you're painting homes for a living. There's no better than or worse than being someone who goes out and paints residential homes like I used to for years versus my previous career, which was being a collegiate football coach. I'm sorry to tell you, but neither one is more important or better or worse than the other. It's just, that's what your unique gift and specialty role is. And that's the hole that you're filling. And now how can you be the best version of yourself in that role? And when you do so, you begin to create this much more sense of psychological safety. And that sense of safety, because you feel irreplaceable, you feel valued, allows for you to naturally be above the line. So we have to take these concepts of conscious leadership and take them from an idea of being, I'm above the line. Well, I'm not operating from scarcity. Are you? You don't know that because it's unconscious. It's living as patterns inside your body, right? And actually do the work to learn how to recognize the constrictive pattern, to recognize the limiting thoughts, the limited mind, and to be able to shift to where you're able to naturally progress yourself, evolve yourself above the line, because you're being very, very curious and open into when I compare whom I compare myself to, when I operate, where am I operating from, and what is my specialty role and or function in the world? So how can I step more into that and not have any sort of judgment around it being a better or worse than role, but to say, like, this is what I do. I deliver mail and I take pride in it and I love doing it. And that's what I'm doing in this moment, right? Doesn't mean the next moment necessarily, but those types of ideas or concepts is what actually allows for us to viscerally move from beneath the line to above the line.
It reminds me a little bit about isn't there a universal principle, like the law of excellence, something along that line?
Yeah. I mean,
so I'm thinking about,
they call a bunch of different laws, different names, but they all come back to simple components.
So I'm thinking about that,
laws.
Whatever you're doing, whatever your role is to do that thing with excellence, you then move to a place moving from scarcity to sufficiency to, being okay with what you're having.
Yeah.
And then that becomes the gateway to abundance.
Yep.
You can find your abundance through really committing to be excellent at whatever it is that you're doing, and to committing to seeing that there is enough of everything in the world. And I think a lot of us, this is, like you said, it's so unconscious that we're not walking around saying there's not enough money, there's not enough time, there's not enough love. We're not walking around saying these things, but it is coming out as this unconscious set of beliefs in our actions, in the things that we choose to do or not do based on what's going on internally for us. So I think it does take a little bit of kind of stepping back and looking at, if I took a look at my actions, do those actions represent someone who has a abundant mindset, who feels sufficient with what they have and who they are and what they're doing? Or do my actions reflect someone who's in scarcity?
Yeah.
And when you can separate yourself from that and you can look at those different categories, the time, money, energy, love, in a relationship, in love, do my actions reflect that there's enough love, or is it reflecting scarcity there?
Yeah.
Right. So I think we can look at those different categories, and that'd be something I encourage. I'm going to do it. I encourage other people to do it. Write down those different categories: time, money, energy, love, other resources, whatever those may be. And then take a look at your actions. Just kind of span back for the last couple of weeks or even the last week. How have my actions been towards money?
Or years. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, depending on
so where we started talking about was this human aspect of I want to kind of wrap the bow a little bit here, right? Is understanding this part of being human, this evolutionary pulse, this wanting and seeking circuitry that causes us to move forward, wanting something to be different, wanting something new, right? To be more, do more, right? And legitimately, there's also a circuitry that says that there is a noticing and liking circuit, right? So this is what going from beneath the line, wanting, seeking, always having to be more. There's not enough. I got to get more. I got to get mine, right? Once I get mine, I got to keep mine.
Yeah. I've heard that called the human void before too.
Yeah, probably.
It's like, it's never enough.
Versus the noticing and liking circuit, and to be able to, what you just said is you were able to like pull back and you're able to look and you're able to notice, which will turn your it helps your psychological safety. So it helps your nervous system be able to rest and find your center, to be able to it's a practice of kind of like gratitude, right? You're able to pull back and be like, oh, I'm able to notice, which has a gaze, it has a posture, it has a breath that goes along with it. It's a curious, open, wondrous kind of posture, right? That allows for me to recognize what is good, there is enough, I am enough, right? And so whether it be something as simple as like, oh, you know what, it's those trees out there are really beautiful. I really like those trees. And you start to just notice things. You look around, you start to notice things that you don't normally look for and notice because you're actually opening back and you're looking, right?
Yeah.
And so then that allows for you to recognize that there is enough. There's enough time, there's enough money, there's enough love. I'm enough and there's enough. Now from that place, go operate in the world.
Yeah.
Now from that place, go achieve and accomplish. And this, my final thing I'll say, and then I'm done, is this is and which I have probably mentioned 100 times before, is this incredible important component of being able to allow for yourself to experience the end result and experience it now. Right? Whether you think about the law of attraction and law of vibration, or you're just talking about neuroscience and how it actually allows for you to create the experiences of life you want, is to allow for yourself to feel that end result, the accomplished achievement, desired experience, and go ahead and just feel it inside your body now. If you're able to do that, you're not operating from lack, because you can work out in the world from the upside down or in the inside out, meaning from the end and from the inside, not needing the achievement, the money, the accomplishment, the approval from other people to feel the way you want to feel, right? And so that is coming from an abundant place, and that's living above the line.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of hand gestures today.
It's upside down and inside out.
Yeah. So anyway, anything else? Wrap it up.
I was just thinking about, how our brains work and how what we focus on, we find. And we talk about that a lot because it's truth. And it's one of those things that once you really, really integrate that, you start to realize that the world can be a friendlier place. The world can be a more loving place. The world can be a more abundant place. The concept of time is not totally linear. That's a whole nother discussion, but I mean, it just starts to change the way that you see everything. And I love that Wayne Dyer quote: when you change the way that you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yeah, you reshape your perception, you'll reshape your life.
Yeah. And so just focusing not from scarcity to abundance necessarily. How about from scarcity to sufficiency? How about just moving into like,
there's enough
in this moment? What more do I need right now in this moment? Because a lot of times we're looking into the future forecasting, or we're looking back to the past, and we're kind of moving between those planes, and we're not really in this now moment. And I think the more we can anchor into the now moment, the more we feel that sense of sufficiency. And that is where we create from into the future. That's where we create the abundance from.
Yeah,
so yes,
awesome.
Nice conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.